Oh my goodness. Oh, hello. What do I click?
Hi, everyone. Welcome here at the Innovation Café. Hi, everyone who's watching online as well. It's nice to have you all here. We're in a different setting than usual, which is nice. For those who haven't been here before, we are a weekly networking event where we offer presentations on the subjects of design and/or technology. And tonight we have Ava Asaadi here, who's also a colleague of mine at the moment.
Yes, hello.
Talking about her project, A Seat at the Vanity Table. Afterwards, everyone is welcome to have drinks at the restaurant. We will show you the way afterwards again. And we also have the opportunity to stay for dinner at the meetup table, but let's first enjoy the presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, everyone. My name is Ava, and my practice is centered around the world of beauty. And what I try to do is analyze the materials, tools, and context of this world of cosmetics. And I also try to create experiences that merge the digital and physical elements of beauty. And so I just graduated from Design Academy in contextual design. And in this talk, I kind of want to talk about my project, focusing on the research part of it, and hopefully I can see some of you at Dutch Design Week. The project is titled A Seat at the Vanity Table, and it kind of comes from a very personal place, that being of the women in my family who work in the beauty industry. So growing up, I was surrounded by the tools and in my mother's salon, so I was always in this world, and I kind of always wanted to push it away, but here I am making a project out of it, so this is what it's about. And so, yeah, I want to talk about my research today, and one of the starting points that I had was kind of analyzing the tools that I had in my own collection. So I kind of imagined a scenario where if all that was left of my identity was the contents of my makeup bag. So I wrote all the descriptions of the tools in just raw text. So instead of Ava, I sound like Skin Perfect Primer, Beauty Matte Foundation in M6, loose powder in Warm Sienna, baked bronzer, and so on. So then with that information, I put that into a Shutterstock image search engine, because I wanted to read between the lines of what is proposed to us with these tools by the companies, and what does that look like if I analyze it and make these data visualizations. What does that say about my identity, and what does that do when something so attractive is put into the sterile environment of the stock image search engine? So I wanted to push that idea further and decided to look at the iconic symbols that are amplified by cosmetics. This one being the kiss stain, which is a symbol of sensuality and sexuality. So what I wanted to do was dissect that and try to understand what materials, what chemical compositions are composed of this symbol. So the ingredients in like the well-known red lip is typically coal tar, fish scales, carnauba wax, carmine red pigment, pearl essence, and petroleum jelly. And I started to look at what crossovers some of these materials had For example, a glossy lip that we see is made glossy by fish scales. And then the wax, that same wax makes cars sparkle. So I was doing this research not to kind of show people the toxicity of makeup to then stop using it. I actually wanted to show people instead how our bodies are carriers of this information and what associations, these tools that we are so intimate with, what those associations are. So this became a really useful tool for me to create these narratives and the kind of beauty that I want to explore and investigate. So I wanted to, again, push that way of working forward. And I started using the tools that I had and putting them through digital processes, scanning them, printing them, bringing them back into the physical, staining them and putting them back. So there was this kind of digital and physical repurposing that I was really intrigued by. But still, something was missing at this point. So I'm just going to let that sink in for a sec while we watch this. If you can see it, it's a screen recording of this Instagram post that I did, where I was requesting people to send me their what's inside your bag, like your makeup collections, your palettes. And I wanted to do this so that I could start to bring together a community through cosmetics and how we can start to have conversations about these tools and where they come from, how long we've had them. Because I really wanted, I think I always wanted to have a space where I could share this information and yeah, just get the conversation going, I guess. So that was how I did it digitally. And then physically, I went around Eindhoven to all the salons and asked people to save me their used material. And soon, people's trash became my treasure, and I started putting the tools themselves through the processes of bleaching, burning, ripping, and creating these tools that were like collaged and bejeweled. So then this started to get very interesting to me. And then I, of course, wanted to create more of a space where we can gather and actually create these happenings, same way you have in a beauty salon, where you go and you may spend hours there having conversations and trying on new looks and maybe going out with something you didn't expect. And so what I was doing here was creating my own vanity table, which I eventually wanted to become this space that I've been designing for. And if you look at the video, here is where I kind of tried to merge these two digital and physical elements, where to enter the space you have to do your nails, so there's this like level of commitment that you have, and by putting your hand in the nail dryer will play the video that welcomes you into the space. And so that became the beginning of establishing this cultural platform that I want to invite people to collaborate, to share stories, to share information about these tools that we have. And this is the beta version of the website that I've created, and on the left is what I presented and what I will be presenting at Dutch Design Week. And basically what I was trying to do in the website is to challenge the way you approach it, the way you use the functions of like a typical website, and how to make that more, how can you borrow from the processes of beauty, such as like the mark making and the magnifying, how can you bring that into the digital space and play with that. So I'm still at the very early stages of it, but it's a start, and I'll hopefully be sharing that with people soon. And I want it to be a place where we can contribute. And yeah, so far I've got palettes from the UK, Korea, France, Iran. So like I intend to like create like a map of like where I get all this information from. So there's like the digital archive, and there's also the physical archive that you see on the left. So I'm really figuring out how to bring these two worlds together in harmony. And yeah, I'd love to hear about what you all think, and yeah, if you have any thoughts, or if you want to collaborate, let me know. Thank you. So yeah, I wondered if anyone is from, if the reason why you're here is because you're interested in beauty or makeup or and whatnot, or if you just came because you were curious. Yes.
I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that you study architecture and the interplay of this and architecture, and as an installation piece. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, I didn't study architecture, but I worked in set design.
You said something about that design. You were at the design school here.
Oh yeah, contextual design. Okay. Yeah. But it is kind of. I like to kind of take these elements from the beauty salon and just the general, like the popular typology of beauty, and kind of try to deconstruct them and put them together in such a way that people actually can disarm, and we can engage in like beauty practices and try to have like conversations around it in a very like fruitful way. And I do actually have a background in set design, so I think that plays a lot into it as well. But I do work with lots of different kinds of like mediums, but I think this is what I'm really interested in exploring further. And yeah, I think it's all in an aim to like cultivate a community. Yeah.
So the website would be something that's collaboratory, that like individuals would contribute their own experiences with their personal practices with beauty?
Yeah, I'd really like that as well, because I found that like when I was doing research on the kind of platforms that I want to make digitally, at least, it felt like a lot like I was just taking in information without actually having something to contribute. So I really wanted to see how I could make that exciting for people, that they would want to get involved. but yeah, I think what's in your bag is always a fun starter. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah.
So the idea is to use cosmetic and beauty tools as a way to express yourself.
Yeah, I think so, because I think a lot of the time when you speak about beauty, it's often talking about beauty standards, and actually that's not really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in how our relationship to these tools and the process of beautification rather than what happens at the end. I'm not interested about the end process, but I'm interested in the how we can be defined by our cosmetic data. Not necessarily doing something with that information, but to more like understand what goes into these tools so we are more empowered and can kind of embrace authenticity and not shy away from
And related to that, there's a question that I've always wondered about myself and asked my friends, and they're always been looking for the answer to it. Since you're working and doing your project and studying on this topic, perhaps you can be of help. So why did the cosmetic tools and beauty tools evolve mainly throughout history only in the female gender? Why wasn't it also more popular and more developed in the male gender?
I think it's interesting because like I know that Egyptians, like it didn't really matter your gender. There was always like makeup was used to identify your status, and it was much. It seems very fluid back then, but I think like as it came to like, I know that like the 50s and 60s was obviously marketed more towards women. I don't know enough about the history of cosmetics to say, but I mean, I think it has the reputation of being something very frivolous and therefore like marketed to women, so they're busied away like making themselves up when actually it can be used as a tool, a weapon. It's very powerful. So
the 50s and 60s were the time that like this cosmetic thing was popular amongst all women, not only the ones in the higher social hierarchy or something like that.
I think definitely like in the 20th century, like you can see it being used more like leaning towards women, whereas like I don't know, nails, like back in the day, like men wore makeup like to make themselves paler and
Like dandy kind
like very so I don't know, I think we're at interesting times now where it's becoming more and more fluid, and I'm really glad for that. And I think it's what I try to do like in these like experiments that I would have with people is we would sit and kind of just use nail varnish to, I don't know, just get creative and just as a social event, because I think it gives you something to do, and you're not really caring about the end process. But yeah, I think it's very healing, and it's also something you can do in private. You don't necessarily have to. This is what I'm interested in, is what happens in the process. So I think it's a good way to experiment with identity, at least. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
How would you categorize painting your body, like in tattooing? Is that something that you would do research in?
I haven't thought about it, but I've been thinking a lot about temporary tattoos and how that's kind of like you are able to print out your design yourself and just put them on your body, and they're gone in a few days. And I think that is a lot more interesting to me, what can be done but I...
No, because what you see, at least from what I observe, because I don't have tattoos, but from what I observe is that lots of people nowadays want to have one or more, or paint their whole bodies. So it's something that they really want to express themselves with. And what you say, that the temporary tattoos is like half committing, like, okay, I want to look like, but I also want to have the undo button, so in a couple of days that I'm not fixed to that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's also interesting in the beauty industry right now, you can tattoo your lip liner and eyeliner and eyebrows. So I really like how they've taken from these ink tattoos, the traditional ink tattoos, and kind of brought it to makeup. Yeah. Yes.
When thinking about beauty care in the digital atmosphere, it sort of makes me think of the games that I used to play in the early 2000s, of like these dressing up these celebrities or painting the faces of these Bratz dolls. Is that something that could, relate to your research?
Yeah, that's actually like the virtual makeovers is actually what I was inspired by with the website, of like how to kind of develop that. And later on, I really would like to take that further. But yeah, I was really inspired by how you saw that a lot more in the 2000s, especially like I remember growing up, I would play those games. But I think now, like if you visit department stores, you can do that. That's kind of developed into doing like virtual, like VR makeup, and like they use face recognition to kind of pick out what shade of lipstick would be suited to your face, and also different kind of hairstyles and hair dyes. So I think it's interesting how it's evolved from something so flat and almost comical to like this very real experience, and how they've tried to take that makeup in retail to the next level. And I was actually thinking a lot about how YSL have this new machine where they create a custom lipstick from your skin tone. So I think they scan your lips, scan your face, and I'm guessing, I don't know how it works exactly, but I'm guessing your skin color like fits into like a category where they do just, I don't know, it's interesting because you can't say it's entirely like custom made for your face, because there are many like, you are like already put into a category even before scanning your lips. But I don't know, I think there's a lot to like experiment with and play with, and I'd love to build something like that, but I have no clue how, but maybe soon. But yeah.
I think that's all for the questions.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. thank you for your presentation and answering all of our questions. I suggest that we move to the bar of the restaurant through the courtyard to continue the conversation. You feel free to get some drinks. We'll provide some snacks. We also always welcome all of our Innovation Cafe visitors to the meetup table, where we offer a meal for €17.50. It's always a vegetarian meal. I will come and ask you later on if anyone's interested in staying. Check out the program for the next weeks on the Innovation Cafe. We're here every Thursday at the same time. We've got 2 presentations next week. It's one workshop about engaging also with the digital world and becoming a closer-knit community. I'd check out the website for the second one. And in a few weeks we also have Dutch Design Week here at the Kazerne and several other places in town. If any of you are still interested in becoming a volunteer, or if you know anyone who wants to be a volunteer, hit me up or send an email to office@kazerne.com. But for now, enjoy your evening and have a nice evening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, you're still here, so you like the video. If you want, subscribe and click the bell.